Well, grand rising to all of you, my family and friends, and of course, welcome to Ilonda Monet's Motivational Moment. Before I start, I must do my salutations. Abaragani. Assalamu alaikum. Ikatru. Now that I've done my salutations, let's get into the meat of the message for today. As you know, this is Black History Month, and I am on a series for Black History, African American history before 1865. Now, this is talking about the abolitionist and anti-slavery movement rise. Okay. Now, the abolitionist movement fought to end slavery in the United States during the 18th and 19th centuries. It involved diverse activities who challenged legal, political, and social systems, upholding slavery through moral persuasion, political action, and direct intervention. Key figures like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman led the charge, facing furious opposition from pro-slavery forces. The movement shaped national discourse on race, contributing to the Civil War outbreak, and left a lasting impact on American society and future civil rights struggle. Now, what is it all about? Abolitionism and anti-slavery movement aimed to end the institution of slavery in the United States during the 18th and 19th centuries. Involved a diverse group of individuals, including African Americans, white activists, religious leaders, and politicians who opposed the moral, social, and economical injustice of slavery. It sought to change the legal and political systems that upheld slavery, as well as the socialist normal and attitudes that perpetrated it. Utilizing various strategies such as moral secession, political activism, and direct action to achieve their goals. They faced significant opposition from pro-slavery forces, including Southern plantation workers or owners, politicians, and those who benefited economically from the institution. It played a critical role in the shaping of the national discourse on slavery and race relations, ultimately contributing to the outbreak of the American Civil War. Last and lasting impact. It left a lasting impact on American society, politics, and culture, paving the way for future civil rights movements and ongoing struggles for racial equality. Key players and groups: Frederick Douglass, a former slave who became a prominent abolition orator and writer, using his personal experiences to advocate for the ending of slavery. William Leroy Garrison, a white abolitionist who founded the influential newspaper, The Liberator, and the American Anti-Slavery Society. Harriet Tubman, an escaped slave who became a conductor on the Underground Railroad, helping countless slaves escape to freedom. Sojourner Truth, a former slave who became a powerful advocate for abolishment and women's rights, delivering her famous speech, Ain't I a Woman? The American Anti-Slavery Society, founded in 1833, which serves as a leading organization in the abolitionist movement, promoting the immediate emancipation of slaves. The Underground Railroad, a network of secret routes and safe houses used by slaves to enslave escaped free states in Canada, opened by abolitionists and allies. The Liberty Party and the Free Soil Party, political parties that emerged in the 1840s to oppose the exploration or expansion of slavery into new territories. Now, timelines of major events. 1808, the United States banned the international slave trade throughout domestic trade countries. 1820, the Missouri Compromise is passed, maintaining the balance between free and slave states. 1831 Nat Turner Rebellion, a slave uprising in Virginia, sparks fear among white Southerners and leads to the increase of restrictions on slaves. 1833 The American Anti-Slavery Society is founded, making a new era of organized abolition activities. 1845 Frederick Douglass published his autobiography, the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, an American slave, which became a bestseller and powerful tool for the abolitionist cause. 1850 The Fugitive Slave Act is passed as a part of the Compromise of 1850, requiring the return of escaped slaves to their owners and increasing tension between the North and the South. 1852 Harriet Beecher Stowe published Uncle Tom's Cabin, a novel that exposes the cruelties of slavery and support for the abolitionist movement. 1859 John Brown raid on Harper's Ferry, and an attempt to incite a slave rebellion fails, but further polarizes the nation on the issues of slavery. Now, the main arguments and ideas: slavery was a normal evil that violated the principles of human rights, equality, and justice. Enslaved individuals were entitled to the same rights and freedoms as all other human beings, including the rights to live, for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The institution of slavery was incompatible with the ideas of the American Revolution and the Declaration of Independence, which proclaimed that all men are created equal. Slavery had a corrupt influence on American society, politics, and economic, benefiting a small group of wealthy plantation owners at the expense of the majority. The Bible and Christian teachings were promptly interrupted during slavery as a sin and called for its abolishment. Gradual emancipation, as proposed by slavery moderators, was insufficient. Immediate and unconditional incapacitation was necessary to address the injustice of slavery. The expansion of slavery into new territories, which further enriched or entrenched the institution and made this eventually abolished more difficult, made its even abomination more difficult. Necessities a strong sense against its spread. Now, the opposition and challenges. Pro-slavery advocates argue that slavery was a positive good, essential to the Southern way of life and economy. They claim that slaves were better off under the care of their masters than they would be free individuals, and that slavery was sanctioned by the Bible. Southern politicians and lawmakers worked to protect and expand slavery, using their influence in Congress to pass legislation like the Fugitive Slave Act. Abolitionists faced violence, intimidation, and censorship from pro-slavery forces within, some having their printing press destroyed or even physical attacked. The issue of slavery divided the nation, with many Northerners who opposed slavery until still haste to support abolishment due to fears of economic disruption or social unease. Some argue that the Constitution protected the institution of slavery, making it difficult to abolish without the amendment. The document or reinterpretation its provisions. Racism and prejudice against African Americans, even amongst those who oppressed slavery, limited the effectiveness of the abolitionist movement and accepted the black equality. Now, the impact on sociality and politics, on the society and politics. The abolitionist movement helped to shift people's opinion against slavery, particularly in the North, and contribute to the growth of the sections divided between the North and the South. Abolition activities such as the Underground Railroad and the publication of the anti-slavery literature directly challenges the institution of slavery and aided in the escape and emancipation of countless slaves. The movement the movements emphasized on moral secession and appeals to the consciousness of influence, religious and international or intellectual circles, leading to the increased support of abolition or abolishment among clergy, writers, and educators. The abolitionist politics parties, such as the Liberty Party and the Free Soul Party, put pressure on the major parties to take actions against slavery and its expansion. The intensity debated over slavery, fueled in part by the abolitionist integration, ultimately led to the breakdown of the compromise between the North and the South and the outbreak of the American Civil War. The war resulted in the abolishment of slavery through the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment, making a significant victory for the abolitionist case. The movement's legacy continued to inspire future generations of civil rights activists and shape decisions of race, equality, and social justice in the United States. Now, the connection to other movements. The abolitionist movement had close ties to the women's rights movement, with many feminine abolitionists also advocating for gender equality and suffrage. The prominent figures like Sojourner Truth, Elizabeth Cady Stanton were active in both movements, recognizing the interconnection nature of opposing and the need of intersectional activism. Abolishment had also had links to the temperament movement, which in some advocates argue that alcohol consumption contribute to the oppression of slavery and the keeping of slavery. The movement emphasized on moral reform and individuals' resilience with other social reform movements of the time, such as the prison reform and the peace movement. The movement emphasizes on moral reform and independent consciousness resonate with other social reform movements of the time, such as the prison movement and the peace movement. The abolition idea and tactics influenced later civil rights suffrage or struggles, including the rights against segregation and the racial discrimination of the 20th century. The movement's international dimensions include collaboration with the British abolitionists and the influence of the Haiti revolutions, situated within a broad global content of resistance to slavery and colonialism. The abolitionist movement, committed to the political or the principles of human rights, equality, and social justice, led to the groundwork of future progressive movements and continue to inspire activism today. Now, the legacy and modern resilience, the abolishment of slavery in the United States marked a significant milestone in the suffrage of human rights and equality, setting the stage for future progress in civil rights. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments passed in the wake of the Civil War, enshrining the principles of abolishment in the Constitution and provides a legal framework for challenging racial discrimination. The writers, speeches, and personal examples of abolitionist leaders like Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, continue to be studied and celebrated as a powerful testimonies to the resilience and of the human spirit. The movement tactics, including moral secession, political activism, and direct action have been adapted and employed by subsequent social justice movements, from the civil rights movements of the 1960s to the Black Lives Movement as of today. The abolitionist movement unfinished work of achieving full racial equality and addressing the legalities of slavery and racism remain a progressive concern in contemporary American society. Ongoing debates about reparations, system racism, and roles of the historical memory of shaping present-day inequalities are directly informed by the abolitionist movement and its aftermath. The movement internationally scoped and influences continue to resonate in modern discussions of global human rights, anti-racism, and the ongoing fight against human trafficking and modern-day slavery, in which the modern-day slavery is the prison system. So, in other words, the fight from yesterday still continues today. The fight of 1865, the fight of 1710, the fight of 1640, all of those uprisings, all of those things played a role in today's fight for equality, our fight for our rights. It's still today. And even though America has gone so far, yet we are still fighting the same fight to become equal, to have the equal rights, to be counted for more than just less being 3/4 or 2/3 of a human, trying to make sure that we are heard and are seen, and that our attributes and our contributions to America holds great value. Because if it wasn't for African Americans, a lot of the things that we take for granted today, we would not have. We would not have a lot of things that the African Americans or Africans went through, progressed through, made it through. We thank you today, because if it wasn't for your struggle, if it wasn't for your loss, if it wasn't for the things that you put in place for us today, we would not be in the position that we are in. Now, I'm going to make a call out for African American leaders, African Americans, Africans who hold weight with other organizations. Please, please, please stand up for the ones who cannot. And those of you who cannot, don't get in the way of those who can. Aid your brother and sister into helping you. This is a collective, and it only works if we work together for the common goal. The common goal. It doesn't matter what color you have on, what shoes you wear, what sweats you wear. What matters is the color of our skin ultimately. And we're all in the same fight. Whether you're actually from Africa or if you are an African American. I'm not a Negro. I'm not a Black American. I am an African American. I am Nigerian of the Yoruba tribe. So with that being said, guys, I have got to go. Today I'm doing a presentation at my job about African American history before slavery. And the other person who is speaking with me will do the session behind from slavery to now. So with that being said, guys, I got to go. I love you, but God loves you more. And remember, I will see you at the top, because the bottom is way too crowded. Oh, before I forget, look me up on YouTube. You can find all my videos on YouTube, and the name is Elonda Monet Hatter, and you will find all of my information. I will also be taping the event that will happen this afternoon, so be on the lookout. I love you, but God loves you more. I'll see you at the top. Peace.